Hi everybody! Welcome to Coffee, Tea or Sex. I'm Karina Velasco, and today we have a very special guest, an amazing empowerment sexual and spiritual coach, a good friend. He has amazing things going on that we're going to share. Destin Gerek, welcome.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you here.
It's a pleasure to be here with you.
Having a conversation that I feel it's very important because as humans, we're evolving, we're shifting, and we see that a lot in women empowerment. But men, sometimes I feel, are a little behind. So you're creating like this whole empowerment series to support men, the evolved masculine. So we're gonna be talking about that today. So what is it really an evolved masculine? What's the difference between just being masculine and just an evolved one?
Thank you. Yeah. So the world's changing rapidly. You were speaking to it of a lot of focus on women's empowerment, and it's fantastic. And by bringing the attention the way that I do to the evolved masculine, it's not to denigrate at all, like this rise of women. Yes, please. It's what I've seen is that a lot of men today are really kind of confused as to how are we supposed to be in the face of this. That the roles have changed. Clearly, the way things were, the way our fathers and grandfathers did things, doesn't seem honestly even welcome anymore. But then it's like, okay, if not that, then what? How are we to be? And more than that, I actually think that women and other men in the world are calling forth for this new rise of an evolved masculine. Historically, I know that you have your interest in Tantra as well. When you look back into tantric philosophy, the masculine principle of God, of Source, was to hold space, to create safety for the feminine to flow. And I feel that's honestly the primary role that the evolved masculine is being called forth for. When you look around the world today, it's not really a safe space for the feminine to flow. The rates of sexual assault, rape, and violence against women are extraordinarily high. And there's a lot of different components to the evolved masculine, but I honestly see that as ground level. Let's support this space for the feminine to rise up.
So you mentioned something interesting, like before, let's say the role of a man was like to provide, to create that safe space, to have the house, like just to be more like in control and of the woman, per call it something. Sure. But now these days, like you said, like the woman, like we create our own safety, we provide for ourselves. So then men, like when the dating or the relating happens, it's like, okay, if you're doing that, now what am I gonna do? That's where you come in to support men on the way we can transform and shift to be able to create harmonious relationships, right?
So with that change, what I see with men is that a lot of men tend to fall into one of two paths. Either in the face of this more empowered woman, they collapse. And they
get scared.
They're afraid. They're constantly afraid of doing the wrong thing, or being the wrong way, or being too much, or being that guy,
or even approaching you. It's like guys are scared. It's like, hello, I'm here. I do want a guy. I like guys, but
sure.
they see you empowered and they get scared, like you say.
And then the other path of men who, in different forms, can be angry or resentful about the women's empowerment, women finding their voice and their power in this way. And there are those within that camp who are just trying to find their way to reassert their power, feeling that's what we need to do. Things have gone off kilter. We need to we need to put ourselves back. Yeah. But there really is a third path, which which takes the best of what each of these other two types of men has to offer. The man who collapses generally has a really beautiful heart. He really cares.
Sensitive.
He's very sensitive.
Yeah.
He loves women and just wants them to feel safe and comfortable in his presence. And there's beautiful components to that, sure, but he's also usually relegated to like buddy and, you know, my nice friend.
Oh, that's where you cross the line from like becoming maybe lovers or partners to, oh, he's my best friend, he's my roommate.
Yeah, I just feel so comfortable with you.
Yeah.
And then there's that other man who his primary role may be just, how can I get in there? How do I get into your panties? And the thing that women like about that aspect is his directive nature, the fact that he goes after what he wants, the fact that he's in touch with his sexual desires. Those parts are great. And he tends to be more disconnected from his heart, disconnected from his body and actually feeling. So by bringing the best of those together, that connection to the heart, that sensitivity, that feeling, that creating of safety, with that directive, going for what I want, owning of one's desires, then you have a really integrated man, and that's a man that, well, women tend to respond very well to.
Which that's the base of Tantra, right? Like merging all the aspects of ourselves. Mm-hmm. It's just, I think for men and women, we've always been shamed to express certain aspect of ourselves, right? Or see it as something negative.
Sure.
So let's say like a man who has that drive, you know, who's like, oh, I really have that desire. What can a man like that do to be able to still have that drive that drives women crazy, you know, or like horny, like make us horny because we love that, but with still that softness and safety? Like what would be the approach, or how can they learn to do that?
Well, honestly, I think the key piece of that is learning to listen to their own body. And I think that as men, we can often get the message from a very young age to not do that, to not listen to our body, to be numb in the face of physical sensation, from being able to withstand pain or anything else, to ignore the body. And even working out, while it uses the whole body, there's often the man is still very much in his head about the result that he's going for and just pushing out the next thing, but not necessarily listening to what's going on in here. And this is something I learned from the women in my life who are so in tune with the messages of the body, that the body has a wisdom of its own, including the emotional piece of that. And by learning to listen to these subtle sensations in the body also can allow you to really tune into and feel the subtleties of what's going on in her body. And when you can listen to the subtleties in her body and respond to things before she ever is able to put words to what she's feeling, it starts to feel like magic. And
that's like empathy, right? Like I'm learning.
Empathy,
it's like I'm learning to read what you need, and I give you what you need, or I take also. And that happens a lot because of the disconnection of the body, because we're set up in our minds, and as the nature of man, it's more like the goal oriented, right? Like, oh, I want to give her orgasms instead of like enjoy the journey. That's what you mean?
Yeah, that's definitely part of it. I think what people sometimes get really afraid of is, you're telling me that I have to give up some way that I am that has really worked for me, that does X, Y, or Z that I get pleasure from. I don't want to give that up. I'm like, great, don't give it up. You don't have to give up anything. I use this phrase, expanding your palette of pleasurable possibilities. Think of the artist's palette that holds all these different colors. Your way of being, whether you're the aggressive driving force, is, you have these sets of colors over here, or if you're the soft sensitive type, you've got these colors over here. Keep using your colors. Just add in these other colors. You can still play. You're not going to lose what you've built. Just start dipping your toes into new territory.
For a man who's soft, because I have a lot of friends who are very sensitive, like amazing hearts, but they have that insecurity. So first of all, like to become an evolved man is also about nourishing, understanding yourself, like self-esteem in that case.
Sure, you can say that. I usually speak of helping a man tap into that infinite well of power and potential that lives within him. That a lot of these men who are the soft, sensitive types are, again, if we look at things through the tantric perspective, since I know you're a fan as well, and there are the 7 major chakras or energy centers in the body. The soft, sensitive type tend to be heart and above, 4th through 7th, and the other types, the driving, aggressive type of men, tend to be 1st through 3rd. And it's just like open up, bring attention to that where you feel weaker. So these men that you speak of, the soft-sensitive ones, it's about claiming your power. And part of it, I remember when I moved more recently, I went through some of my old belongings and I found this little piece of paper from 7 years ago, maybe 8 years ago, that just had on it in like Sharpie, choose to be powerful. And I remember I had that on a board with some other things, and that was actually a really big thing for me at the time, because yes, I came from that camp of the soft sensitive, and which I still have that, and
yeah, I've seen you both, you know. Yeah.
And you know, that's the muscle that I needed to strengthen, though. So it was very powerful for me to actually decide, yes, I choose to be powerful. I will no longer be afraid of being powerful, or what it would mean, or of men who are I am a man with a beautiful heart, with deep connection to source, what have you. Who can I become by fully owning and claiming my power? And what can I create in the world? Because this really is the root of what I speak of the world calling forth for the evolved masculine. The world is out of balance. It's really out of balance. We're aware of that. We're on the edge of ecocide.
Yeah.
And what's required really is for what's required of men right now is for those who are opening up in different ways to claim your power and fucking do something. Claim your power and do anything and everything in your power to help right things on this planet, because we've got 2 choices, you know, it's either Armageddon or enlightenment. Which way are we heading?
Yeah.
And so we need to, if you're a soft sensitive type of a man, then you owe it to the planet to fucking claim your power and do something with it. If you are a powerful man, you owe it to women and the planet to open your hearts and connect to each other and do something with that power.
Yeah, exactly. And that's just instead of just like, you know, I own my power, but I use it for my own benefit and for my own, like, oh, I'm feeling great. It's like, how can you really use that power in its full expression? You know, like by serving or supporting the earth and like helping out people. But how, like...
Well, it's like this right here,
yeah.
This is service. You know, we're having this conversation for you. we're doing this to, yes, it does both. It's for the viewer and the listener so that they can grow and have more of what they want in their lives as well, and you and I also grow through the process. That's the beautiful thing about service, is that when you're really doing it right, everyone wins.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a win-win situation. So you talk about claiming power to become an evolved masculine. Yeah. What does that really mean?
It starts with choosing it, to own it, to make the decision right now, and then...
But is it acceptance of who I am?
It's part of it. It doesn't end there, though. But it is part of it.
What is it claiming power?
Hold on, this is important, though.
Yeah.
The acceptance of who I am can be beautiful, and it can be a trap.
Why?
It can be a trap because it can be this acceptance of our preconceived limitations of, well, this is just who I am, this is just how I am, and I'm just going to call bullshit.
Conform with it.
I'm just going to call bullshit. Whoever you are being right now, there's so much. There's so much more inside of you. Again,
That you don't even know it's there.
We have wounds because we were born into an imperfect world. And part of our life journey, as I see it, is to confront those wounds, to grow and heal through them, and to use those wounds as actually the entry point to where we can give our great gifts to the
That's
world.
the power to confront
That's where the power
also the
is.
parts you're afraid of, or to let go sometimes. Because you hold on to that story,
Sure.
and you give your power away to that story, right?
Yeah.
Instead of like owning your own power.
I like how you speak about your story. Everybody has their story.
Yeah, we have
right? We
everybody.
all have a story.
Yeah.
So
Hollywood has the stories.
Yeah, right. So this is one of the distinctions that I make in with the men that I work with, as well, is that to help shift your paradigm from the identification of who you are based on your past, what I call the past to present model of self, to a present future orientation of I am the man that I am being and the man I am choosing to become. And I have no power over my past, but I'm not going to give my power to my past. Where I do have power is right now.
What can I do right now with what happens right now?
And what is the vision that I hold for myself, for the man that I am choosing to become in the world? That maybe in this moment, when I first imagine him and envision him, he seems like such a far-off fantasy of impossibility. But screw it. I'm holding this vision, and I'm going to take a step every day in that direction because I choose to. Every action that you take, every word that you speak can simply be another brushstroke on the masterpiece of your life.
And celebrate each step, right? Instead of like judging yourself, oh, I could have done better, it was good or not. I think celebration and acknowledgement that you're taking the step is good for your health, is good for your heart, is good for your power.
Yeah, that's an appreciation component as well. If we don't, sometimes I think, especially as men, we can so be on to the next thing, and the next thing, there's always the next thing. So taking that moment to acknowledge yourself and celebrate what you just did, what you just accomplished, let it land, that also helps you have that momentum that can help nourish you to keep going.
So talking about evolved masculine, I have a question.
Please.
How do women, like what's the role women play in supporting? Because we know for women, and this is not a feminist, like comment or like a grandmother comment, because it could go both ways. Sure. But in a way, we're there to support man, like men support us. So how can women support a man to become an evolved masculine or the evolved masculine?
Yeah. Men might not like all of what I have to say.
That's your problem. That's your problem.
Because there's two types of that support. One is the feminine love and nurturance support. And the other is that Kali, fierce, I'm going to cut through anything that's not your truest self. And that's, both, I know both have shaped me. The first that love and support is the more yummy, pleasurable, the
nourishment.
Your sex, all of that is just like, oh yes, helps me open and expand and feel more like a man.
Yeah.
But then there's also been throughout my own life that all the ways in which the feminine, the woman in her many faces that has appeared before me, has just ripped me open, has torn me down, consciously or often unconsciously.
So am I allowed to be a bitch? I'm going to support you for call it something?
It can, the more consciousness and awareness that you can bring to it, the better, of course.
Of course,
But
I mean it with consciousness.
the thing about the evolved masculine is really it's about shining the light of consciousness where previously there was unconsciousness. And so being able to witness a woman in her wide array of reactions and being like, where is the mirror here for me? Instead of I'm going to react to this, I'm going to fight back, I'm going to collapse, where is the mirror here for me? How can I be with this?
So as a man, if I'm cultivating those different aspects of my being,
Sure.
I'm going to be able to understand a woman have those in a more natural state, right? Like that's why they say women, we're like the weather. Like right now, like we're sunny and like 5 minutes later, you know, we can...
5 minutes, maybe 5 seconds.
Well, 5 seconds, you know, but like I think it's easier for us to embrace those aspects. And sometimes what I've heard the problematic is with men is the man is like, whoa, I thought you were all sweet and like now you're being a bitch, you know? Or then like a woman who's like super strong and suddenly like falls apart. And they don't know how to handle that. Is that because they can handle that on their own?
Well, I think part of it as well has to do with expectations. The idea that, for example, if I just want you to be sweet and sexy all of the time, I'm going to be disappointed. Because
Can you repeat that? Can you repeat that, please? Please listen, boys.
If you expect her to be sweet and sexy all of the time, you are going to be disappointed.
Amen.
Period. And I get it. I speak that as a man who has expected a woman to be sweet and sexy all the time and has been horribly disappointed. Not only disappointed, but angry and resentful. The wide variety of upset and hurt, a wide variety of emotional reactions because I fell in love with you, or infatuated really, because of your sweetness, because of how sexy you were. And what is all this? And it's because you are sweet, you are sexy, and you are a bitch.
Fierce.
And you are fierce.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
That's the sweetest thing.
I'm also an asshole. I am. I'm powerful, I'm sweet, I'm calm, I'm incredibly spacious, I can be triggered. I can be an incredible lover, I can be selfish. I can be angry and rageful. I can collapse into unable to be able to handle anything.
It goes the other way
exactly,
around.
within any single one of us lives it all. And I think that the more we're able to hold that for one another, the more powerful our relationships can be.
So what I'm understanding about the evolved masculine at this moment, or feminine in this case, it's not really about stopping to be the way you are, or that it's good or bad to be a certain way, that we have all these aspects. It's just the consciousness we bring into that action, right?
Yeah, well, consciousness is the base of all of it, so with that I'll say yes. As a man, though, I will say the most powerful thing that I have learned and cultivated within myself, particularly over the last decade, was learning to just ground my energy.
What's that? What's grounding energy?
Yeah. So, even through this whole conversation, I can get very animated. There's a lot of wild movement in me, and I love it. It's where my passion comes from. And there's also this ability to just go. You can see this in martial artists, or meditators, or yogis.
Is that the same like finding your center?
Yeah, you could say that. Finding that stillness within. You spoke of women being that's the weather, the emotional storm that can go all over the place, and then there's a place of stillness within all of us. There's a place of stillness, and as a man, being able to take that, to find that stillness within, and I visualize it. I see it in my mind's eye, like this flow of energy, or stream of light, sort of, that runs down my body, primarily down the center of my body, and that when I use my hands to do so, it helps me feel it drop. And when I do, that, by cultivating that within you as a man, the feminine around you that wants to fly all over the place feels on one hand that she can, and on the other hand it helps ground her. It helps ground her. And for a woman who does tend to fly all over the place, feeling like there's this place where she can just let all that go and can feel very pleasurable.
Breathe.
Yeah, thank you. You're
Just
better
breathe.
to speak to this than me.
I just like breathing a lot. Breathing is an important tool for grounding.
Yeah, absolutely.
And to slow down, don't you think the evolved masculine needs, to slow down? Yeah. Look at that. It just immediately creates, like right now that you did that, like this trust, this connection, this just feeling of surrendering. Like it has a lot of attributes to be in your center.
And so it's my hope that also showcase, look, I still have this wide range of expression, and I can choose to come here as soon as I decide to.
It's all choice?
Once it's cultivated, yes. But prior to 8 years ago, this place was very foreign to me. My energy was always extremely erratic and very ADHD-like. And when I start finding this place, again, first by making that decision and then a series of practices that I teach, cultivated that ability to I speak of it as I reset my energetic signature. I created a new home state.
Oh, I love that, a home state.
Yeah, so this is home now.
Yeah.
You know, I don't even feel, I wasn't home when we started, probably because I was excited about all the things I wanted to share. But as soon as I land back here, now, what one time felt like this foreign land that I would visit, now it's like, here I am. I'm home.
And you're totally aware of what's going on, like the sounds, the movements, the sensations, and that's the tool probably you use to support men to get into their bodies.
Totally.
Yeah?
Totally.
As easy as that?
It's ultimately as easy as
because
that.
sometimes, I mean, when you first said it, I was like, oh my God, like poor man, this is going to be like a tough work, but it's as easy as that.
It can be as easy as that. Not only does it have a powerful effect on the women who are around me, but I find that when I'm in this state, other men, even men who are not familiar with this type of thing, I can help call them into the state within seconds.
It's contagious.
Yeah, it's very contagious.
Because I think it's a craving. Like we live in such a like fast-paced, erotic and erratic world that we need to get home.
Exactly.
Because home is where our balance is, right? Our wellness, well-being.
Well, for sure. Yeah.
So if you would say, which are like the first, like the 5 qualities, you know?
Can I give you 7?
Give me 7 like qualities of what is an evolved man, just to close the show.
The evolved man is grounded. I'm going to give you more than 7. I'll be as quick as I can, though. He is grounded, solid in himself, a place of safe and secure in himself, so much so that others feel safe and secure in his presence. He owns and claims his animal, primal aspects of his being, as well as the entire range of his sexuality and sexual desires. He claims his power, his ability to make things happen, to take action. He is deeply connected to his heart, his emotions, without being run by his emotions. He can love purely and unconditionally, as well as receive and take in love. He's a man of integrity. He speaks what he means what he speaks. He cultivates a strong intellect as well as an intuition and a stillness of his mind. And this is a man who has a strong connection to spirit, to the universe, to feeling of all that is, something larger than himself, however he defines it. That is the basis of the evolved masculine.
And if you're out there, call me, please. That's beautiful. Well, thank you so much for doing this work and supporting men.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Because I feel everybody's shifting. We're all in our own paths of transformation.
Yeah.
And it's not really about sex, you know, if you're a man or a woman. I think it's as human beings, we want the same things. And it's time to evolve, to shift.
Yeah. And there's beautiful, evolved places that we can go with sex from these places.
Which we'll know and talk about it in another show.
Yeah,
I would love to
it.
invite you back.
Thank you. I look forward to it.
Thank you so much. Can you give us your website and all your information so they can contact you and follow your work?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Main website is destingerek.com, DESTINGEREK, or embodiedman.com.
Thank you so much, my dear friend.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. And to all of you, thanks for watching Coffee, Tea, or Sex. See you next week. And remember to have one of them every morning or every night.